Hi guys, this is Pete and this is my point of view on the Chelsea game yesterday. Obviously, it was 1-1. Today, I'm going to go through obviously what I thought of the performance, then through some tweets that I got from you guys through my Twitter, and also then we're going to go through player ratings. Obviously, my thoughts on the game. I thought, it's difficult to say that I'm disappointed with getting the point because of the way the game went at the end with McTominay giving away the penalty and then us having a comeback. Obviously, it makes you really happy. But obviously, there is a little bit of disappointment because we controlled the game. First 35 minutes, dominated the midfield. Casemiro, Ericsson, and Fernandez superb. Linking up well. Casemiro's passing really good. We dominated that first 35 minutes, and then obviously once they brought Kovacic on, it helped them get like a hold of the game a little bit, like just made the midfield an actual battle instead of just us walking it. Now, obviously, when Kovacic came on, it made them better, but it didn't make them actually dominate the game. It made it a tactical battle more, and I thought United were really good. Obviously, once we brought on Fernandez for Sancho, even though I thought it was right for Sancho to come off because he didn't play well, uh, I think the change affected us and did make us a little bit more quiet. Like, made at least until just before they scored, it kind of affected the balance of the team a little bit too much. In my opinion, maybe a double change would have been better. I know Ericsson was good yesterday, but I would personally took Sancho off, brought on Alanga, and took Ericsson off and brought on Fred because I think we needed his energy a bit more in midfield, and obviously then he could have it'd have been Casemiro and Fred in behind, like as the two in midfield with Fernandez in front, and obviously Alanga just giving us a bit more on the left than what Sancho gave yesterday. But obviously Eric Ten Hag made those changes, and in the end it did work out. His subs were really good yesterday. Obviously, the Fernandez going to the left maybe affected us a little bit, but then obviously the change we made after that did have an effect on the game. McTominay in a negative way because he turned into John Cena and decided to rugby tackle. Was it Broja in the box? Obviously a bit silly, but obviously as the game went into the last 10 minutes after the penalty, we put pressure on them, played well. The subs played well, so obviously we can't argue with that. And then obviously Casemiro popping up at the end was great, and obviously getting his first goal for the club, dead happy for him. And the passion he showed at the end, it just kind of shows the fighting spirit that Eric Ten Hag's put into this squad, and it shows how much it means now to win. Like, if that was last year, once they went 1-0 up, it could have been 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, because they just used to drop their heads. But now, obviously, they're keeping the heads up. They're pushing, putting pressure on to try and get that goal back, and obviously in the end we did. So I'm very happy with that. Now we're going to go on to some tweets that I got from you guys. First, we'll cover a poll that I put out. I only put it out this morning, so there's not many votes on it, but I just wanted to see how people were feeling about yesterday. Obviously, with us getting the point in the end, and I just put out a poll that asked whether you guys were happy with a point or devastated that we didn't win. And I get the results, but obviously I'm happy with a point, but I'm also devastated we didn't win, so I get it. So the results of the poll, it was 31% of you guys were happy with a point, and then 69% were devastated that we didn't win, and I understand why, because obviously I think we could have won the game and got the 3 points. And now we'll go on to some tweets on one of the tweets about last night, just asking for your guys' opinion on the game. So we got a tweet from the Shoestring Podcast at Shoestring Pod TM, and they said we could have won it with the chances that we had if Rashford was more clinical. Sancho definitely wasn't up for it, but I will take a draw. And I agree with that. Yeah, Sancho wasn't great, and Rashford does need to be more clinical. I honestly think that once Martial's back, if he does get back fit, that Rashford goes out to the left, he's just better on the left. and that's a really good point that they made, that he wasn't clinical and Sancho just didn't look like his head was there. So, and the next tweet I got was from at Itzy Padson, and he said, Man United really took the game to Chelsea. The confidence was awesome. We could do with a better striker to score those chances. I would go for Tony or Sesko before he plays a minute for Leipzig. Now, obviously, that's looking to the future, and hopefully we will sign a striker in January. And I would be happy with either of those players, but I just don't think we're going to go for Sesko. I think he will go to Leipzig, and it would take quite a lot of money to convince them to sell him without him playing a game. I think you'd be looking at 70, 80 million, and he is a young kid. He does look really good, and he's played okay this season, but it is a lot of money to be asking for a player like that. And Tony, like with me, for Tony, I think his form this season's been really good, and if he keeps it up all the way till January, and he's bagged 10 goals by January, he might be worth a punt at 30 to 40 million. So that's something to look out for. But obviously, we are interested in Gakpo too, and Gakpo can play down the middle. So we'll have to see which player United decide for. If we decide to go for anyone in January, because I've actually got it in my head that we're gonna say we're going for a player, and then January transfer window, people want too much money. It's after World Cup, make up all the excuses like the board do. And then the last tweet is from Mr. Craig Moore 1, and Craig said, "It was a great game. We controlled the game for the majority. Lost our way a little. When Fred came on and Bruno went wide, we kind of looked a bit unbalanced. Eric Ten Hag got his subs bang on late in the game. McTominay nearly cost us, but Casemiro saved us at the death. I love our fighting spirit." And he went on to also say, "Ten Hag has made so many changes already, and I'm loving it. He's changed the mentality of the players, and we're starting to control the games. We're seeing bits of his style now. I'm loving it, and his in-game management is excellent." That's true. Obviously, the subs he's been making in the last couple of games have actually affected the game. Obviously, we've seen a double-edged sword yesterday. McTominay affected negatively, but then Alanga was good when he came on. Fred was actually okay when he came on. He wasn't as good as he was in the last game when he started, but it was a good, a decent performance from Fred, because he just gave us that energy in midfield. And obviously, Varane going off injured. Lindelof came on, didn't put a foot wrong. Obviously, you would prefer Varane to start games. Obviously, we hope his injury isn't going to be too, severe, and he'll be back soon. It looks like he got quite upset because he thinks he might miss the World Cup through it, which is understandable, but hopefully he'll be back sooner than we think, and maybe even before the break for the World Cup, but we'll have to see. And now we're going to go into the play ratings, guys. So we'll start off with De Gea. It was one of those games again where Chelsea, they had a few half chances but didn't really test De Gea so much. It was like, I don't want to mark him down because he didn't do anything wrong, but I'm just going to give him a steady 6. I thought again, he passed out well from the back. He does seem to be coming for more crosses, and I am impressed with the way he's actually being more consistent at that, so that's a good thing. Dalot, again, a 6.5. I thought Dalot was okay. His last game was superb, and he was just back to a normal performance yesterday. I don't think he was bad by any stretch of the imagination, and I think he's slightly getting more understanding with Antony. There was still one moment where the ball was played out and they both went for the same ball, but I think that's just going to come with time. So yeah, 6.5, not a bad performance. Then Varane, I give Varane, I know he got subbed off, I give Varane a 7. I just love the way he seems. He's the leader, in the team. He speaks to people. His defending's really good. Can pass through the lines. I just really like his attitude as well, and obviously I think he will be a big miss if he is out for, the next month. But saying that, Lindelof when he came in did do okay, so we'll have to see how that goes. Martinez, I'm going to give Martinez an 8. Again, I love his attitude, his fighting spirit. He's such an hard little bastard, just so passionate, and good in the air. I can't get over how good in the air he is for someone who is so short, and obviously all the criticism that he got. He was superb in the air again yesterday. Gets on the front foot with a ball, passes through the lines, makes us control the game, gives it to those midfielders who can do the damage, and I really love what he's doing. So yeah, he's an 8 for me. He was a contender for man of the match, but he's just missed out to someone else. And then Luke Shaw, 7, obviously. He got the assist for the goal. Again, I think he gives us a bit more balance on the left than what Malacia does. I think Malacia will come in on Thursday, because I think Erik ten Hag wants to give him a chance to find his best form again, which I understand because we want that competition. So I'll totally understand if he does do that. But Shaw again was very good, defensively good. Going forward, always trying the overlap. He is impressing me now. Are we seeing Roberto Carlos again? Obviously, I don't want to hype him up too much because the way he fell off a cliff last time was alarming. But obviously, he looks like he's up for it again, and he's playing really well. Next, we move into midfield. Casemiro. For me, Casemiro, man of the match, 9. Love the way he plays, breaking up the play. Reads the game really well. Such a good range of passing. I really didn't think he was as good at passing as he actually is, because even though he's been at Madrid for a long time and I've seen the odd Madrid game here and there, I didn't actually understand how good he is with the ball. I thought he was just, your typical DM, break it up, simple pass, but he does do that, but he also can hit your 40-yard passes, switching the play. There was a ball where he got us out of trouble in defence, and he hits it over to the right hand side to Antony, and it was superb. And a couple of switches of play onto the left hand side towards Sancho, which were also superb. So yeah, great game, and the goal, the passion. When he scored that goal, you can see how much it means to him, and that's what I like about him. He shows a lot of passion, a lot of fighting spirit, and I'm just really happy with how he's performing. So yeah, I'm buzzing with Casemiro, and he gets a 9. Eriksen, he had a good game, especially in the first 35 minutes. I reckon I give him a 6.5. I thought he had an effect on the game, but in the end, he wasn't superb. But I think obviously with Eriksen, there's he's going to have some games where he's a little bit more quiet, and some games where he really pulls the strings and affects the play. I think yesterday was just one of those quieter games, so that's why he got a 6.5. Next, we move on to Fernandes. 6.5 as well. I thought he was good. First 35 minutes again. When we was dominating the game, a few killer passes, which was what Fernandes does, and he didn't lose the ball as much yesterday, and obviously he didn't lose the ball a lot the game before either. So I'm starting to feel like he's getting a bit more control in his passing, and obviously he does take the risk, so he will not always have a perfect passing accuracy. But I feel like he was good yesterday. I just think when he got moved out onto that left-hand side, it did take away from his game. He still gave his all for the team though, so you can't take away from that. It was just, I'd prefer to see him in that number 10 role. That's where he's at his best. On the right-hand side, we go to Antony. I give Antony a 7. A few good shots. Cutting inside, which is obviously, you can see that's what he loves to do. And I think even though defenders know he's going to do that, they just can't stop it. It's like Robin back in the day. Everybody knew he was going to cut inside and shoot, but he did it every time, and they couldn't stop him because he's just that good. And I feel like it's the same with Antony. So, and he impressed me. I think he uses class. I think the more we see him and he develops, he might develop into the next world-class player to be up there in that conversation. I don't think he's ever going to be as good as Ronaldo or Messi, but I think he'll be the next one up there with your Haalands and Mbappe's, doing really big things. Then on the other side, left-hand side, Sancho, I'm actually going to give Sancho a 5. I feel like he did get the ball and a few times tried to take on his man, but he just seems to be lacking so much confidence. And when he got took off, I understood why. He just wasn't affecting the game enough. Like I said, I thought the change was the wrong one. It should have been a double sub, but obviously we have to trust in what Ten Hag does. And hopefully Sancho can, pick his head up in the next couple of games. I think Ten Hag still has to play him and show some confidence in him to get his confidence up there. So we'll have to see. I'm hoping he plays against Sheriff and maybe has a big performance, to really boost his confidence. Then in the middle, Rashford 5.56. he's just not a centre forward. Like, you know, he makes the runs off the shoulders really good, but I think they're better from him coming off the left, where he can get in behind on a diagonal run, cut inside and shoot. There was obviously the chance he had, and Kepa came out and actually did really well. But I just feel like his touch is a bit off. He doesn't hold the ball up well, and it wasn't his greatest performance down the middle. That's why I've gone for, I'd say, 6. I don't want to be too harsh, so 6. Now we go on to the subs. Lindelof obviously came on for Varane when he was injured. I thought Lindelof played well, you know, defended well. He uses the ball okay. You can't argue with how he played. So I honestly think he deserves at least a 6, 6.5. You know, didn't do anything wrong, and just carried on where Varane left off. Maybe with not as much authority, but I think he's not a bad replacement. I just dread that Varane's going to be out for a long time. Maguire comes back into the squad, because I think it'll affect the way we play, but we'll have to see. And then the next sub, Fred. Fred came on really energetic. Thought he had a decent game, but I just give him a 6. You know, he did his job. Gave us that little bit more energy in midfield, but wasn't superb. You know, had a bit of trampoline toes at times, but also then, you know, broke up the play well, passed it okay. So, you know, just a steady 6 from him. And then McTominay, I was like, I know he didn't play terribly when he came on, but he gave away the penalty that gave them the goal. For me, I'm going to give him a 4. I don't understand what he's doing on that corner. Why has he got to put his arms around him and bleeding rugby tackle him to the ground? Maybe it was they're not. Sometimes you don't get those penalties given against you, but you can't do that. It's not WWE. He's not John Cena. So he obviously needs to learn from that mistake, and from now on corners, not make the same mistake. Hopefully that'll happen. And then obviously Alanga came on. I actually enjoyed Alanga when he came on. I thought he was, you know, got the ball. He was direct. He tried to at least take his man on, you know, and he works hard for the team. And I give Alanga a 6 as well. I thought it was a good game from him. He's not set the world on fire, Alanga, at the moment, but I think he's just a steady squad player that can come in and do a job when we need him in the last 20-30 minutes of a game, just to give us that bit of energy. So that's the match ratings all finished, and that's the video done, guys. I just want to let you know that I might not post a video for the next week, 2 weeks or so, because my missus is about to have a baby, so she's having a C-section in a couple of days, so obviously she's going to be in bits a little bit, so I'm not going to be able to make any content. I will try, but I don't think it's going to be an option, just for a week or 2, and I'll let you guys know on Twitter when I'll be back making videos. Thanks for watching anyway. Do me a favour, if you haven't yet, subscribe, like the video. Obviously the more the video gets liked, the more it'll get pushed onto other people's YouTube, and obviously helps bring the numbers up a bit for me. And turn on the notification bell if you can. And obviously I do post all my videos to Twitter. I've just made a Facebook page. I am trying to work out getting videos on today. It's proving a bit difficult at the minute, but I will figure something out. But yeah, just check out all the social medias that I've got. Check out my YouTube, and just keep on supporting the channels, the guys that have been watching, because the last couple of videos have actually got up to 60 views, which I'm really happy for, and thank all you guys who have been watching. So cheers for that, guys. Peace.